Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. John, Serengeti Resources recently announced that it has drilled two projects separate from its flagship Quanica copper-gold project. Why has there been no exploration work on Quanica, and is there hope for a discovery on the UDS or Milligan West projects?
Jim, Serengeti Resources is one of my spec value hunter recommendations, and I had a lot of optimism heading into the new year that we would see the South Korean company Daewoo make a decision early on going to 35%, for which it has to put up another $7 million, which will go towards a pre-feasibility study on the Quanica project. But they dragged their heels. They took until the end of July, right up to the deadline to make a decision. Then David Moore and the Koreans had to sit down and work out an agreement, and they finally got a general agreement, and now all the technical details are being worked out. So probably early November is when this deal will finally be done, and the Koreans will journal $7 million into Serengeti's account for work to begin next year. There may be some geophysical work or something that can be done in the winter, but basically additional drilling will not happen until 2018, which has been pretty frustrating. Though on the plus side, the stock finished last year at 14 cents and is around 21 cents now, so we are up on the year. Now, most of that work will go towards geotechnical drilling as well as metallurgical drilling, so they can better understand the distribution of the gold in the underground mineable portion of this system. They did an updated PEA earlier this year where the numbers weren't really quite at the thresholds for a go-ahead to develop at 1270 gold and 290 copper. They had about a couple $100 million NPV, but CapEx is almost $500 million. So you really want your NPV to match or exceed the CapEx. The IRR was okay, and that, of course, would improve if they get better numbers. So part of the work going in there will be to upgrade the resource grade so that the numbers work better. But there are two holes that the Koreans have agreed to let David Moore drill next year. One is the hole that they had drilled through the deposit towards the Pinchy Fault to about 900-meter depth, and they had encountered improving mineralization at the end of the hole when they stopped it because of a budget. They have agreed to extend that 400 meters to about 1,300 meters. So there's a chance that additional resource could be added to the underground mining plant. The other hole that they're going to drill is a deeper hole targeting the IP anomaly that sits about 1,000 meters north of the central zone. And this is a substantial sulfide system. The hole they drilled last year appears to have overshot the system itself. They got snippets of low-grade gold copper suggesting they are on the edge of something. So they will put at least one hole right into the heart of where they now believe the sulfide body is, and that could end up becoming an additional deposit in terms of size and scale comparable to the first one. So next year, starting in May, hopefully they drill those holes first before they get into the metallurgical holes. We get a significant improvement in what we know about this project. Now, the company was able to get two drilling programs done on projects where it controls. One of them, Milligan West, is a joint venture with Fiordland Exploration. This property is just west of the Milligan deposit, which is now owned by Centerra Gold. They had done an IP survey and detected about a 4-kilometer IP anomaly, what they call the Heidi target. They went in there to drill 3 holes and realized, based on the descriptions of the core that they gave, they probably missed the system. Maybe if they go a little bit farther north, they might get more of a system. This is not going to be a brand new discovery. It could possibly be an additional zone that eventually the Mount Milligan operation will process as mill feeds. But there is not much hope that any joy is going to come from that. But David Moore was considerably more excited about the results from drilling the UDS project, which joins the Chemist project now owned by Orico Metals. And there they had done an IP survey over a valley that's about 6-7 kilometers northeast of the Chemist operation. There's a possibility that this is a fault offset extension. There had been gold and copper prospected in the adjoining ridges flanking this valley, but nobody had ever done any work in the valley itself because it's overburden covered. You can't see any outcrop, and of course there's nasty bush, devil's club, and everything in there. So nobody was particularly keen to go in there. But the work Serengeti did last year identified 2 IP anomalies. They have drilled into them, and they have got sulfides with possible low-grade gold-copper mineralization within both the Takla andesites and the Black Lake intrusive monzonite. Both of these rocks are mineralized in the Chemist system. They are awaiting assays. I don't think we're going to get barn burner assays, or they would have told us something about seeing chalcopyrite and so on in the core, but I suspect they've seen enough sniffs that they know they're on the edge of a system, and this could turn into a interesting round of good news, probably early November, mid-November, when they get the assays from this result. So possibly a bump later this year from UDS, unlikely from Milligan West, and then look at the Quanica project as a dual optionality play on higher gold and metal prices, and as a resource exploration play for 2018.
Fiordland exploration has pulled back during the past week. Is this due to pessimism about the Milligan West results or drilling on the South Voisey's Bay target?
Well, Fiordland exploration, due to lack of funds, had used to be in a 50-50 relationship with Serengeti on Milligan West, and it had diluted down to a 43.7%, and it decided that it was going to participate in that project. And the way the news release was written on the Milligan West, the market kind of sort of sighed and said, okay, that was a waste, probably not going to get any joy. But that was not the reason the stock ran to over 50 cents. It was quite amazing that the company set out to drill 6 holes on the South Voisey's Bay target, a UTEM target, only several hundred meters deep. This has been sort of described as a ovoid look-alike from Voisey's Bay. Robert Friedland's high-power HPX company has the right to earn up to 65% of this project. They also bought 14 million units of Fiordland at 10 cents, and that money has all been earmarked for this project. And drilling started about a couple weeks ago, and because of the experience the market had with the ovoid, where when they finally figured out that you drill into the middle of the anomaly, not the edges, and they got 100 meters of engine block bristling with pentlandite and chalcopyrite, everybody knew they had a winner on their hands. So the market was expecting something similar. The company has completed 4 holes. They have not even logged the core yet, but I suspect the word has come out from Labrador that, well, this is perhaps interesting from a geological perspective, but it is not 100 meters of engine block. So the stock has started to sell off because the market is assuming that this round of drilling, which is basically going for low-hanging fruit, was going to tag into Voisey's Bay 2, another ovoid system, and launch a big discovery. They may get another couple more holes in, but they will certainly return. What makes the Pants Lake intrusion very interesting is that 21 million tons of nickel they've calculated, that has been stripped out, depleted out of this intrusion and ended up somewhere else. That's a lot more than was observed in the Voisey space system itself. So there is this feeling that there is a very big prize squirreled away somewhere in this project, and everybody's pretty optimistic that next year the HPX will start putting up the money needed to earn 65% and properly explore the system. So market's telling us we're not going to have a discovery this winter, but maybe we'll get some good information that sets the stage for renewed work in 2018.
Discovery Watch with John Kaiser will be back right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork will commence later this year. Please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, Inventus Mining nearly doubled this week. Are there any new developments involving the Pardo Gold Conglomerate project in Ontario?
The IROC, which is the pseudo-regulatory entity that worries about stocks moving abruptly, forced the company to put out a news release saying that, well, there's no material information that would explain the stock running from 22 cents to 39 cents. And the stock has drifted back a bit. I talked to Stephen Spears, and he says they have completed blasting the 1,000-ton bulk sample that they intend to process for this nuggety gold in these conglomerate beds at the Pardo project in Ontario. They are awaiting clearance that the tailings from this sample, which is going to be processed at the Black Fox mill, which McEwen Mining has just acquired from Primero, and they want to make sure that the tailings from this material are not going to have any negative impact on the tailings that come from the Black Fox operation, given that this is a fairly benign conglomerate with nuggety gold in it. I don't think there's going to be any issue. They figure a couple weeks, then that once they have the green light on that, they'll ship the 1,000 tons to the mill, and then it'll be just a case of when is there a slot where it can be decontaminated and the 1,000-ton sample processed. So Stefan's pretty confident that they will have the results from this bulk sample before the end of the year, but anticipation of this is not what caused the stock to pop. Quite likely, and this is the reason I made it a bottom fish recommendation in early September, is the Pilbara WITS 2.0 concept is really starting to get traction. And people are starting to believe my argument that the conglomerate beds in the Pilbara Craton of Australia are going to be phenomenal, maybe even bigger than the Witwatersrand Reef system in South Africa. And now the market's already looking for relatively cheap stocks like Inventus with similar concept. People are starting to do a lot of digging as to, well, how did these conglomerate gold beds form, and what is the chance that in parts outside of South Africa where everybody has dismissed it as not really having any real potential to make anything big, maybe we should take a fresh look. So I suspect that the stock jumped because somebody realized this is a leveraged way to play the Novo story, and Novo has $1 billion valuation, over $1 billion valuation at this point. Here's a cheap way to play this concept of conglomerate bed, gold-bearing conglomerate beds in another part of the world where insufficient money has been spent to properly assess the gold content and see if one has a mine that could end up having an awful lot of ore once one starts looking laterally beyond the initial outcropping focus.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, Novo Resources had a roller coaster week, trading as high as $8.83 before dropping to a low of $7.42 on Thursday and then bouncing back on Friday. What's causing this volatility?
It's not clear to me why the stock ran to $8.83. In fact, one newsletter writer on Sunday night put out a recommendation to sell a third. He's planning to sell a third of his position. The stock had closed weekly last Friday at $6.32, and then right on Monday, Tuesday, the stock put on $2.50 on not very heavy volume. So what seems to have happened is that there's a seller's strike underway, and new buyers came in that are discovering this story and making the leap that it's WITS 2.0 unfolding before their eyes. And then, of course, when it overshot to $8.83, then somebody started selling, and nobody likes to buy when a stock is declining. Now, there are three big questions that still need to be answered before we can be absolutely confident that WITS 2.0 is a reality. First, we need to know that there is a way to measure the gold reliably in the conglomerate beds. Now, there has been some hope that there's a fine gold, a disseminated fine gold component that could be systemic throughout the beds, and that with ordinary small diameter drilling, one could at least measure this background gold and then go in there with the large diameter drills to capture the nugget effect. But there's been word making the rounds that Quinton Hennig has said that they don't intend to assay these scout holes. They're just there to delineate where they should be finding the beds for the bulk sampling drills. To me, that makes no sense, because you're going to want to know what other elements are in this conglomerate bed. When you start stepping farther down dip, like kilometers down dip, you want to understand the chemistry of these beds as part of your knowledge base and say, aha, here is where it is. Now, we'll have to wait and see if there is a systemic fine gold component. There isn't in the Beaton's Creek area, about 350 kilometers on the other side of the Pilbara Craton, where Novo has spent all its efforts there. It has had to use bulk sampling techniques to measure the nugget component. This is, of course, Inventus's problem also at the Pardo project. The third question is, what do these gold-bearing conglomerate beds actually extend significantly beyond these portions where it daylights at the northern end of the Hammersley Basin? And last week we talked about the Gray and its conglomerate beds that it has where nuggets are spilling out the side. This is a good reason to be optimistic that at least at the northern edge of this Hammersley Basin, there are gold-bearing, there's nuggets in the conglomerate beds. But what we don't know is whether when you go deeper into the basin, the gold just fades away or is still present. So that's a step that we're going to have to wait for a while. But At the same time, we have started to see the Pilbara Wits 2.0 area play get traction in Australia as various juniors discover that they own land or are even starting to acquire land from prospectors who happen to own land in these obscure parts of the basin where there may be no iron deposit that attracted any of the big guys' attention. And we're starting to see these penny stocks and sometimes even quarter penny stocks jump on fairly large volume in Australia. So the market seems to be wanting to believe that WITS 2.0 is a reality taking shape, but we don't really have the evidence to help people track this whole emerging area play. I've created a page on my website, kaiserresearch.com, called the Pilbara Wits 2.0 Resource Center, where I'm listing all the companies where I have found that they have land in this area. I'm not saying yet that they have the right sort of land. Half of the Pilbara Craton has just basement exposed. There's going to be nothing to do with gold-bearing conglomerate beds in those areas. The one other thing that came out this week was that Eric Sprott disclosed that he has been buying shares in the open market, over 1 million shares, plus in a private transaction he bought warrants. So if he exercises all his warrants, he is now at 23 million shares. He's also a major shareholder in Kirkland Lake, which if it exercises all its warrants, it has about 40 million shares. So together, they would have almost 32% of the 195 million shares fully diluted of Novo Resources Corp. Oddly, when the news came out, the market reacted negatively and sold it down. Doesn't quite make sense. One would think that Eric Sprott spending more of his own money in the open market would reassure the market. But then Eric Sprott has been a maverick investor in all kinds of stuff, and it's possible that the market was spooked by the idea that this individual who did a lot of buying at much cheaper prices is now so in love with this story that he's buying it in the open market. But time will tell. Nobody knows for sure whether WITS 2.0 is going to unfold, but work is underway, which will answer those questions within the next 4 to 8 weeks. And I think by early 2018, we will have a good idea as to whether or not we have the potentially biggest gold discovery ever on our hands.
John, thanks for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been talking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.